What's up, y'all? It's Visual Media Maven back again with another video, and here are the top 5 lessons from one of them days. If you have not seen the movie, you might not want to watch this video because there are going to be a bunch of spoilers all throughout. Let's get into it. Lesson number 1, don't be too trusting. Now, this was evident when we find out that Alyssa gave her boyfriend a rent money, and we find out that the rent money was never given to the landlord, and instead he spent the money on some t-shirts because he wanted to use the money as a loan or an investment for his business, which was crazy because the t-shirts that he made was a knockoff of a brand that was already out. So it was just crazy, and it was bad for them because they had to find a way to get their rent money paid, although it worked for the movie because it would set the story in motion. So for the movie, it worked, but in real life, you really can't be too trusting of everybody. You have to make people earn that trust and show you that they're willing to be trusted, because it can save you a lot of headache and a lot of time dealing with certain people. Lesson number 2, don't let a man play in your face no matter what. This was prevalent between Alyssa and Keyshawn, especially after we found out as the audience that he was texting a girl from around the corner and he was laid up in her bed. That right there should have been grounds for termination of the relationship immediately. But of course, it does take time to find the strength to let someone go. And I'm so happy Alyssa finally did. And she realized that Keyshawn didn't respect her, nor did he love her, because someone that loves and respects you isn't going to do that to you. Lesson number 3, friendships stick together through thick and thin. Now, this is something that we saw between Drew and Alyssa, especially after Drew found out that Alyssa gave Keyshawn the rent money and the landlord never received it. Then this caused them to race against the clock to try to get the rent money so they wouldn't get evicted. Now, we saw their friendship all throughout the movie because Drew could have given up and said, forget it. Alyssa could have given up and said, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't really care about it. It's whatever. But they stuck together to try to make it work throughout all the ups and downs that they went through throughout the movie. So this is definitely a lesson on friendship, because friendships are not always easy and friendships are not always going to be peaches and cream. So it definitely showed the flip side of what it's like to be in a friendship and what it's like to truly stick together with one another. Lesson number 4, work with what you got to get what you want or need. Now, this was important because this came up when Alyssa and Drew still didn't have rent money. Their items were sitting on a curb because Uche, their landlord, put them there. And they're sitting on a curb wondering what they should do next. When they finally decide to embrace their neighbor, Bethany, a little bit, and they decide to come up with the idea of having an art show to sell Alyssa's paintings. This was a great example of using what you have to get what you want or need, because Alyssa's paintings ended up getting them the money that they needed to pay their rent, which was really helpful because that was what they had been trying to do all day, especially finding out that Keyshawn spent the money. So sometimes in life, you have to work with what you got to get what you want or you need. And last but not least, embrace your community. Now, this was something that was so important, which showed up toward the end of the movie when Alyssa and Drew decide to embrace Bethany, and they all come up with the idea to have an art show and sell Alyssa's artwork. This was one of the greatest ideas that they could have ever done because it allowed them to bring the community together and to bring people out, and it also helped them get their rent money. Not only that, the conversation that we see between Drew and Lucky, we see that he embraces Drew for doing the right thing by saying, now this is what it takes, or something along those lines. He's basically embracing Drew and Alyssa, letting them know that this is the way to do it. This is the way to go about it. You embrace your community. You look to your community for help. Don't worry about those payday loans or things like that. Because earlier on in the story, they were trying to get a payday loan, which had a high interest rate and which have a bunch of downsides to it that many people don't realize. So in a way, Lucky was helping them by telling them not to do it. And in the end, we see him at the party and he's embracing them for doing the party and having it be so successful. So sometimes all it takes is for you to embrace your community and embrace the people that you have around you to get what you want or what you need, vice versa. And those are the top 5 lessons from one of them days. Let me know in the comments what lesson stood out to you. Thank you for watching.